Shalom friends, welcome to Daf Reactions, Gittin 55. On the list of things the Jewish people do not like, the Roman Empire is pretty high up there, for reasons including but not limited to conquering and occupying Judea in 63 BCE, laying siege to Jerusalem and destroying the Holy Temple in 70 CE, enslaving a bunch of us, forcing us into exile, disrupting every part of Jewish life as it was at the time because they were the worst, and no, I don't care that they were good at making roads. And of course, to add insult to injury, they did steal our menorah. Is it really still hidden in the basement of the Vatican? I don't know. There's only one way to find out, and that's a heist. But anyway, in today's daf, in today's page of Talmud, we get a very famous story all about reasons for the destruction of Jerusalem. There was a guy, let's call him Fred, and he had a friend named Kamtza. But he also had a nemesis named Bar Kamtza. Fred is throwing a party, and he asks his assistant to send an evite to Kamtza. But accidentally, because they have very similar email addresses, the invite got sent to Bar Kamtza. Fred walks into his own party and he sees Bar Kamtza and he's like, ew, what? GTFO? What are you doing here? I don't know, honestly, why Bar Kamtza showed up at that party. I didn't know if, he thought Fred had had a sudden change of heart regarding him, but clearly not. But anyway, he's like, I know we're not BFFs, but please don't throw me out of this party. It will be really embarrassing. How about I Venmo you for the cost of everything that I'm gonna eat? And Fred's like, nope. What if I pay for the whole feast? Yeah, it's still a no. Finally, Fred has Bar Kamtza removed physically from the party, bounced out of it, but alas, not physically removed from the story, unfortunately. Bar Kamtza decides it's time for him to enter his villain era, because the sages at the party had not prevented his eviction from the premises. So he becomes a rat. He goes to the Roman emperor and says, the Jews are going to do a rebellion against you, FYI. If you tell them to offer a sacrifice on behalf of your government at their temple, you just watch, they're not going to do it. And that is proof. Firstly, how did he get an appointment with the emperor that fast? And secondly, I guess he never wanted to be invited to a party ever again unless thrown by the Romans. And personally, I wouldn't go to one of those parties because, amongst other things, they did do a lot of intentional vomiting. So the emperor sends a calf with Bar Kamtza to be sacrificed, but Bar Kamtza again is the worst and makes a little cut on the calf's face. And I want to go back in time and do the same to Bar Kamtza. He knew that an animal with a blemish could not be sacrificed in the temple, and the Romans would not see that as a valid excuse. And the sages are in a bit of a pickle. We kind of have to sacrifice it, right, in order to keep peace with the occupying government, big picture. But Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkulas was like, well, I just think that if we do that, then anyone's going to think they can bring their blemished calf. However, the only alternative was to silence Bar Kamtza so he didn't go and report back, silence. And Rabbi Zechariah is like, oh, you can't do that either. Everybody will think that if you offer an animal with a blemish, that's the Beth sentence. So this works out terribly. They don't sacrifice the calf. Bar Kamtza's set up, his frame up, worked. And thus the story goes that that's how the war between the Jews and Rome started. Interestingly, Rabbi Yochanan blames everything that happened subsequently on Rabbi Zechariah for his excessive humility, which does sound like something Rabbi Yochanan would say. But also, let's not get it twisted. The actual events, the real historic events of this time period happened because Rome was an empire and it was expanding its empire, and empires are bad. And we will see more of the fallout from that tomorrow as our story continues.